Hello, true believers. Welcome to my channel, Mr. Miracle Comics. My name is Dave, and today we have 5 more undervalued comic books for us to take a look at. All right, so I'm not going to waste time with a bunch of chatter today. We're just going to get right into the list. And the first book on our list, it comes from 1994, and it is The Incredible Hulk number 418. All right. So why this book? So recently I was reading. I like to read about the MCU and actors and what they're doing and kind of dig a little deeper. And I was reading about Ben Mendelsohn. And Ben Mendelsohn played Talos the Untamed in both Captain Marvel and in Spider-Man Far From Home. And apparently they were supposed to kill off his character, but something happened and they didn't kill off his character. And there is a rumor that he may have signed up for at least a 5 picture deal, right? And then we take in all the rumors about Secret Invasion, right, which Talos has a lot to do with. And it also makes sense from a business point of view in terms of, Disney. They're not going to sign a big actor, a very popular actor like Ben Mendelsohn. He was in Rogue One, Ready Player One, um, what else? Batman, right? So he's been in a lot of the genre, and he's a popular actor, right? An expensive actor. He's not an actor that you put on contract to give a little bit part to and then say goodbye to. It's not worth your money, right? They're obviously they take a good actor and an actor who's becoming very popular very quickly. They're going to want to use them, right? They're going to use that star power to sell tickets, and so they're going to want Ben Mendelsohn as Talos the Untamed in more Marvel properties, almost guaranteed. That's for sure. So I got this book. Like I said, it's from 1994. Look to pay around, about the $5 mark for this, $5 to $10 mark. It also comes in a variant edition, which is here, and it has like a fancy uh, cardboard cutout cover on it or whatever, which was, from the 90s. That's kind of neat. And yeah, this is the first appearance of Talos the Untamed, which Ben Mendelsohn does play in those movies. So look to see him again, reprising that role. If that's a 5 picture deal is real, he's already hit 2. That means 3 more. Like I said, that's just a rumor. Don't know 100% if that's true, but I did read it in the internet. And they're not allowed to put anything untrue on the internet. So from 1994, The Incredible Hulk number 418 for the variant covers. And look to pay somewhere $5 to $10 max for this book for absolutely mint condition copy of this. And look to see Talos the Untamed and Ben Mendelsohn reprise that role and expand it in the MCU, right? So this book at the $5 range, I still think has not realized some kind of potential, and there may be a major character backing that one. All right, especially if the Secret Invasion storyline happens. Whew. All right, so this next book on my list is just kind of out there, and I got this a while ago, and I was gonna, mention it, and it is from 1982, and it is Destroyer Duck number 1. All right, now why? So this issue actually came out. The creator of Destroyer Duck, oh, what's his name? I'm sorry, it escapes me. I'm sure somebody will leave it in the comments for me. Um, had this to benefit himself, to pay for his lawsuit, as Marvel was suing him for creating a character that was too close to Howard the Duck, right, in name and appearance. And he went and published this independent comic through Eclipse, and had Jack Kirby do the pencils for it. But mostly what we're interested in this book, it also has the very first appearance in comic books of Gru the Wanderer. Now, Gru is one of those characters that is hung in there. He's got lots of fans, and he's illustrated by and written by one of the most loved comic illustrators in the industry, Sergio Agonis, who I've been lucky enough to have a conversation with Mr. Agonis at one point. Wonderful man, he's lovely. Um, but that this has that first. Now I don't think that Gru is going to get a movie or have a streaming show, or even if he does, that the movement on this book is going to be particularly a big jump. But this is one of those books that has a very beloved character in it, and a very substantially established character. Looking, coming on to 40 years of Gru now. He's had his own series published under different comic book publishers, Marvel, Epic, Eclipse did some. You know, basically that Gru is always going to be one of those characters, but this book is just going to see a steady rise all the time because it's the first appearance of a very well-known character. And right now, I think it flies under the radar. A lot of people know that Destroyer Duck #1 is the first appearance of Gru the Wanderer. Well, at least none of the Medicians do anyway. However, I think that this book, you can easily find this book in the $10 to $20 range, right? I know that, and that's mint condition, of course, raw, but I think it's going to continually going to rise in value. It's not a heavy print run, right? Especially for the time that it was done. The whole concept behind this book, putting out a book to fund a lawsuit for this character that they're putting the book out with, is hilarious in itself. It's Jack Kirby, right? Jack Kirby always draws a crowd, so it's interesting that he would do this book, and of course, the first appearance of a very beloved character, Gru the Wanderer. And I think that in the $10 to $20 range, this book could definitely sit in your collection and gather value over the next few years. So from 1982, Destroyer Duck #1, first appearance of Gru the Wanderer. Okay, so this is an interesting book, and I brought this book up before a long time ago, but I know I have lots of new subscribers, so I wanted to bring it up again. And it has seen a rise in value since I spec'd on it, but definitely not the kind of rise that it can see and should see. And I'm going to bring it up, and it's from 1969, and it is Detective Comics number 387, which is Batman's 30th anniversary issue, right? So the odd thing about this comic book, it is the first time that Detective Comics 27 was reprinted. Okay, and it was actually reprinted with the change. There's no murdering knife in this one. And what happened basically was, Detective Comics was going along, and back in those days, they really didn't think about the idea of reprints, right? And by the time that kind of idea came along, the Comic Code Authority and, seduction of the innocent had happened, and the Comic Code Authority had put their foot down, and they literally couldn't publish Detective Comics 27 anymore because it didn't meet the Comic Code Authority, rules. But in 1969, just in time for Batman's 30th anniversary, they relaxed those rules quite a bit, right? And so now, just by changing one scene with the murdering knife, it fit into the rules, and they were allowed to reprint Detective Comics 27. But it still always kind of blows my mind. Like, if you were a Batman fan and you were born in the 40s, maybe you started reading Batman comics in the late 50s, early 60s, it would have taken until you were 30 years old or so until you actually got to read that Detective Comics 27, right? Like, this book predates the famous first reprints. Those came out in 1974. This book came out in 1969. So, being the very first reprint, this is the closest you're going to get to a Detective Comics 27 in year that isn't actually Detective Comics 27. You know what I mean? Like, it's the next reprint to it. And I think looking at prices on eBay, they were sitting around the $30 to $50 mark. You could get a pretty nice grade copy of this. Of course, slab ones that are really high grades do go for a bit more price. But I think this comic is starting to be more and more known as actually a really important Batman key, being its next reprint, and a Silver Age reprint. And it has a Silver Age appearance cover of the Joker, which didn't happen very often in the Silver Age. It wasn't until Neil Adams started to bring them back, right? And a Silver Age Penguin cover too. So really, lots of things to benefit on this book, and especially kind of just blows your mind that you may never have read his origin story for 30 years until this book was finally published, right? 30 years to get that reprint out there. So yeah, at the $30 to $50 range, I still think this is a great book. The first time I spec'd on it, it was sitting around the $20 range. So it has gained a little bit in value, and I think it's starting to get a little bit more known. So if you're a Detective Comics collector, this is definitely one you should pull the trigger on. Find yourself a decent copy and get that into your collection. All right, so again, from 1969, Detective Comics number 387, first reprint of Detective Comics 27. Okay, so I got the last two books are Star Wars specs. Now, if you haven't watched the episode 13 of The Mandalorian, The Jedi. Um, you and I need to part company right now because I am going to spoil a couple of things that happen in today's episode. It actually came out today. So if you haven't watched it yet, go watch it, then come back and take a look at these books and see if you agree with me. Um, Fair warning, okay, I don't like spoiling things for people. So if you haven't seen today's episode, which is November 27th, 27th today? Yeah, am I off? Yeah, November 27th. If you haven't seen the November 27th episode, just go watch it now, then come back and finish watching this video. If you have seen it, wow, what an episode! Blow my mind. One of the best episodes so far this season, or probably the best episode. Number one was pretty cool, but this one really, so obviously name the Jedi, and we've been waiting for Ahsoka Tano to show up. She finally shows up, right? Man, and Rosario Dawson did a great job. Picture perfect of what I would think like a live action Ahsoka Tano would look like. She nailed it, knocked it out of the park, and with the Mandalorian and everything that was going on there, the storyline, everything all fit really well. In that book, she mentions like she's trying to find somebody in that episode, right? She grabs the bad guy leader. She holds up her saber and finally gets the answer, or asks the question that we're all looking for, and that is, where is Grand Admiral Thrawn? Right. So we know that I spec'd on this book a while ago, right? Back when I spec'd on this book, it was a $30 book. Today it tripled in price. It's probably going to, continue upwards of that. I keep telling people Star Wars books are red hot. Get the Star Wars keys now. Okay, so it's too late to get this one. This is not the book I'm specking on. I'm just bringing this up that I brought this. That this book just went ballistic today. So many copies of this book sold on eBay today. I was looking at the sold items. Must have been 15, 20 copies gone, right? And what's left, the prices are just skyrocketing. First appearance of Thrawn here. We spec'd on this one already. She brings that up. Great. So that, if you listen to me, if you bought that book in the last couple months since I spec'd on it, or I guess it was about 3 months ago I spec'd on it. So you're very happy about that today. She also says something about taking Grogu, the baby Yoda. He finally got a name, thank goodness, and taking him to a Jedi temple, letting him use his Force power to call out to another Jedi. In my opinion, only three things can happen in this situation. One, a Jedi comes. Two, a bad Jedi comes. Or three, an previously unknown to us Jedi comes. So the good Jedi that I was specking on, Ezra Bridger, has to be. He's one of the only Jedi that we know for sure is still alive. If Ahsoka Tano's still alive, Ezra's still alive. If Thrawn's still alive, Ezra's still alive. Okay, so I'm going to spec here again, and this is on Kanan, the Last Padawan, number 1. Okay, that is Ezra Bridges' first cameo appearance, right? You can say that the number 6 is going to be his first full appearance. This book has gotten pricey and jumped around quite a bit. I wouldn't say it's too undervalued, so I'm not going to spec on number 6. If you find a good copy of number 6 for a decent price, grab it, because that's his first full appearance. His first appearance does show up here in number 1. This is a variant copy. I do have the regular cover somewhere. I just didn't want to, dig through everything I had to find it. Looking on eBay right now, this is a $10 to $20 book, depending what cover you want to buy. There's a few covers of it. If he goes to that temple, raises up the Force or whatever, and sends out a signal, and Ezra shows up, look to see this book take an incredible jump, just like Heir to the Empire did today, right? These Star Wars first appearances are hot, and we got to get them now, or it's going to be too late, because Star Wars is going to start coming out rapid fire from Disney. Right, they're going to seriously do a bunch of streaming stuff. They're going to want, as soon as theaters are back up, they're going to want their movies back in the theaters. Good, bad, or ugly, however you felt about those last trilogy films, they all made $1 billion each, right? So Disney's chomping at the bit, like, whatever, we'll put out some more Star Wars movies, 100%, right? But here in our streaming show and on The Mandalorian, I would almost bet that it's going to be, if a good Jedi shows up, chances are it's going to be Ezra Bridger, right? Very high probability of this, right? As Ezra should be, you know, what should he be by now? Late 20s, early 30s in this sort of timeline. So yeah, he would definitely be a Jedi. He could possibly train, that could possibly train Grabu or whatever they called him in the episode. Baby Yoda. All right. So from 2016, 2015, sorry, 2015, Kanan the Last Padawan #1, first appearance of Ezra Bridger. Look to pay around, $10 to $20 for this book. Okay. Whew. And if I spec on this that bad Jedi is going to show up, or a bad Force user, which could very well happen, which almost is more likely because it would create such a big conflict in the whole deal, right? Perhaps both, right? Perhaps we get a bad Jedi and Ezra showing up. And if it's going to be a bad Jedi or, a bad Force user of any kind, I'm going to say that it is the character that first appears here in 2017 Star Wars Kanan, #12. All right, and that is the first appearance of the Grand Inquisitor, right? Very popular character. The Grand Inquisitor can jump. It's a title of a character. I'm not sure if it'll be this particular Grand Inquisitor, but you should see this book take a jump. This also has a Grand Admiral's first appearance of Sloane. Yeah, so Grand Admiral Sloane first shows up in this one as well. She has an outside chance of showing up in a Marvel property. Um, I'd like to say like a little better than an outside chance because again, Disney's really putting into the idea of diversity, and she is black and also a Grand Admiral in the Empire. She also saves the life of Emperor Palpatine and Darth Vader and does all kinds of crazy stuff. So her first appearance is great to grab too, but first appearance of the Grand Inquisitor I think is a little more important as it pertains to this season of The Mandalorian. And you could grab this book, again, somewhere in the $10 to $20 range. Usually you're going to find this book out there, right, in mid condition for raw books of this kind. So I think it would, kick butt to see the Grand Inquisitor in a live action form. I think it would kick butt to see Ezra Bridger. Outside of all that, we get introduced to a Jedi that we've never seen before that they, create for the show. That's a possibility. I think a little less likely. They do like to play, more to the fans and bring in known characters from previous Star Wars properties and stuff. So I would also bet, if I'm going light side, dark side, I would bet on, also grabbing this book, which is Kanan, #12, Star Wars Kanan, #12 from 2017. Look to pay $10 to $20 for like a mint copy raw of this book. All right, guys. Whew. So that was a lot to get through, but we made it. Thanks for sticking around and watching my videos. I always appreciate everybody who does. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do that. That helps me out so much when I get subscribers, just for the analytics of YouTube, right? So if you subscribe to my channel, I promise I won't spam your channel with tons and tons of videos. These are the only videos that I usually do, and they come out at varying times or whatever. But please subscribe. I would really, really appreciate it. And if you hit that like button, I'd appreciate that too. So, my name is Dave. This has been Mr. Miracle Comics. Just reminding you, Wednesdays are new comic book days, but every day is old comic book day. All right, you guys. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you next video.